This episode may contain strong language and adult themes. Viewer and listener discretion is advised.
Good evening, hello, welcome everybody to tonight's 22 Dropouts, where we are joined by the usual ragamuffin cast of Phil, Julian and Sam. Say hello, boys.
Hello, boys.
You've said that enough in the past, haven't you, mate? The way you said that, hello, boys, then, that's something you're quite used to saying.
I'm assuming you're talking to Jules when you're talking.
Oh, yeah. In fact, because he's Welsh, I'd love him to say hello, sailor.
Hello, sailor.
It's something about the voice, isn't it, that just makes that work so nicely. So you're wearing your Welsh shirt tonight, mate?
You definitely don't want me to say hello, flyboy.
Hello, flyboy. No, exactly. Anyway, you are wearing your Welsh top tonight. Great. So let's congratulate Wales. Let's congratulate England and Ireland, and of course Scotland. Oh wait, hang on. Scotland didn't win, did they?
Canada won. That's the highlight of the weekend. Canada.
Who were they playing?
Belgium.
Okay, so we'll move away from that one then. So Scotland then, Hogg was a little bit incensed, mate.
Yeah, I mean, and rightly so, because it was like watching the Scotland team from 3-4 seasons ago, where just clinical moments, they were just making those decisions and bad lineouts, bad decisions, scrummaging not working properly, and just not there quick enough at the clear out to make sure that they can retain the ball when they really need to at important times, and that just lets South Africa into the game, because then you just get the penalty booted in the corner, and that's what South Africa play. So. Yeah,
so what happened after the euphoria that you were showing us all last week, and how good Scotland were, and
well, just like any good teammate, everybody can lose a match. And look at New Zealand, they just lost against Ireland, and we all know that they're the best team in the world. So
now that was on in the bar. So I must say well done to the Combined Services Barbarians team on Saturday, who played a Police Barbars. Tight game, 106-5. So well done to the Fijians who joined up. But mainly vets. We tried to get them some decent opposition now, because they played Sandbach a while back and beat them 96-0. But that was the highlight of my weekend, because my main game was called off because of COVID. There was a few that got binned over here. Sam, you were on the line again this weekend, weren't you?
I was, yes, for Malta versus Israel. Yeah, lovely experience. Thoroughly enjoyed the atmosphere, although it was restricted in numbers in the stadium to 900 total. It was still a really good atmosphere, and smiles all around when when you can, and when there's a bit of stoppage and you're looking in the stands. It was just nice to see, and yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it.
Good. And Jules, how was your trip down to Portugal? Because you were going there for courses as well.
I was there on my match commissioner course with World Rugby, and saw a lot of under 20s games, and I think I saw 4. There were 8 in total. So I was there for four under 20s games, and then we all went to the Portugal versus Japan game in Coimbra in Portugal, with 11,000 people in there watching it. Bracey was refereeing it. Bracey knew half the guys in the match commissioner course by the look of it. Well, he knew all the Romanian lads anyway.
And no rugby at all for you, Phil?
Nope.
So we'll skip over that one then. I see Rassie's back at it, wearing his Waterboy coat, standing in the technical area. And if you watch some of the clips from the news and the rugby chat in South Africa, they were highlighting him doing a very bocky thing and eyeing up, and he can't catch, and all sorts of things, which I suppose is better than him going on and actually talent coaching people while he's got a water bottle in his hand. But does anybody know what the fallout from that hearing was, because he had the hearing. I've not heard a damn thing since. Have they just like swept it under the table, do you reckon?
No, they would have swept it. But
in the British Lions, the fallout from the Lions.
Yeah, so it was that video he made, wasn't it? The critique of the referee. That there was as long as, you know, a sequel to a blockbuster movie.
62-minute video.
It's been dealt with. They didn't publicise it. Done. Why do they need to?
Okay, I think they should, but I think it's one of those things that's in the public interest. It's in the rugby's interest.
And the press thought it's probably on the website. The press thought,
oh, it could be. Yeah,
we're not publishing that.
They were probably hoping for something a lot more scandalous and didn't get it.
Yeah, and they went and dealt with it and pushed it on the website like they normally do, and that was it.
Yeah. Now, in our pre-chat tonight, you were all mentioning Luke Pearce's performance. I haven't watched the game properly yet. I need to do that this week.
I've got it on my list of things to do.
Sam watched it though, so Sam can take us through it.
Yeah, a cracking game. As I said, I just watched it this evening before we came on here. He handled himself absolutely brilliantly again, under a lot of pressure, obviously. It had been quite a tight game, and Ireland were all up for the game, and puts New Zealand to the sword and didn't give them a chance to do anything. So he conducted himself in a really good manner. Stopped the game when he needed to stop the game. Spoke to the captains and said, "Look, we're not doing this anymore. Just that's enough's enough," sort of thing. He called a knock on when it wasn't a knock on, and his AR, kind of Christoph, his AR. He signalled it backwards, and then he blew the whistle and realised that he'd made a mistake and said to the Ireland lot, said, "Look, my apologies." He said, "But it wasn't actually a knock on." And he says, "So it's going to be a New Zealand scrum." And they're like, "But you called it that." It's like, "Yeah, I know." He says, "But I got it wrong, so it's a New Zealand scrum." And like they wouldn't have given him the ball, so he had to get the ball off them. Yeah, it was good.
Nice. Quite a lot of TMO influence this weekend with cards and foul play, and there was a lot coming in. I had the England game on in the background. They were coming in for all sorts of things, not just foul play as well, which did surprise me a little bit. But there was, I thought some of the way the TMO conversations went was really well handled. That process that we've got now for the head contact protocol and things, that seems to work. They're popping that in nicely. Everybody seems to understand it. I think having that process that is explained on pitch. And there was a thing I saw last week. Of course, it's Premiership Cup this weekend, so no real rugby in the UK. But they did a trial the week before at one of the games where the not only can you hear the referee interchange with the TMO and stuff like that on your TV or on the old ref mic thing that you can buy, but they actually broadcast it across the stadium on the PA, very much like you'd have in the NFL, Phil. What's your thoughts on doing that?
Well, I have mixed feelings on it. I think we had a discussion on this call, I don't know, probably about 6-8 months ago. I think the TMO is getting too in depth and too involved in slowing down the games and making decisions that they shouldn't be going up to the TMO. The fact is, what they should be focused on is foul play. And when once it moves past beyond that, the decision on the field is made. You got 3 professional referees on the field. I mean, it is a game. So I think what's happening is the commercialization of the game is now becoming like the sponsors and advertisers is becoming where kind of like what happened in the NFL, where there's so much money now being put into it and the outcomes of the games are worth more to the advertisers than to the actual teams that win, unless of course it's a championship game. And therefore, people are getting their name involved in things that they shouldn't. And, I look at rugby still as being the most purest sport out there, but I think it's disappearing.
It's interesting. So, hello, by the way, Daryl. You can give us a wave if you want.
It looks like he's in a zombie movie or something.
It does, doesn't it? The living dead are going to come and eat him any second.
But his face will brighten right up in a second.
Now, do you think, therefore, talking about the TMO, do you, if you were invented, and look, we can't uninvent it. It's like saying I don't like the wheel. We're going to go back to what we had before. It's going to be impossible to uninvent. You can tinker with it, and they tried moving goalposts metaphorically a while back. Would you say then that checking with the TMO for grounding and touch for a try, or coming back so many phases before a try, you wouldn't go near that with the TMO?
Oh no, I would. The grounding is important. The in-touch aspect of it is important, right? At test levels, I would say yes, but it's creeping into such a lower game that it's taking away from the. If you were an attacking team and you had some momentum going, and you get it taken away from you for a 5-minute freaking review, and you allow the other team to now reset their defense and everything else, it takes away from that whole aspect, and there's negative outcomes from the TMO. I don't know what the dividing line is. Like, I do think the grounding is important. Clearly, that's the one thing that the referee needs to get right. Foul play is what the referee needs to get right. But a forward pass that is borderline, does the referee need to get that right? Does a TMO need to get that right? I'd say no.
But the only time they're coming back for those is in scoring instances.
Okay, so during the Ireland-New Zealand game, the second try for Ireland was chalked off because he'd been tackled and his momentum carried him so much forward, and then he actually propelled himself forward again on his knees, which stopped the jackal going in. And then
scoring instance.
Yeah,
so scoring instance.
Yeah, it was on the scoring thing, and they scored from it. And they came back and said no try because he propelled himself forward as in double movement. So, it's like
what's the referee looking at when the play is that close to grounding and getting tackled? How is he not seeing a double movement by the player?
Yeah.
Or the other assistant referees? How are they not seeing that?
Daryl, at the top level, then, do you want to come in here and just give us a little bit more insight? Because I think...
Not sure you can, mate. Not sure you can right now.
But you might have to unmute yourself first.
Really hard to read your lips in the dark, Daryl.
How's that? Evening, gentlemen. Yeah, I think that I understand all of the comments, and I understand the potential frustrations, potential issues, but it is about getting the right outcome, yeah. And your comments, Phil, there. Why didn't the other match officials see it? They're probably looking at a number of other things where in the game these things get missed. But as Julian says, they're mainly only coming back for these things where it's a try scored. And I think it's right that we don't award tries to people in games if there's been some kind of illegal activity, whether that's foul play, a penalty offence, a forward pass. The foul play and the grounding are givens for me for the TMO, but I also think that anything that involved in the act of scoring should also be put in. I think where the line might be a challenge.
I was about to say his internet's better when he's driving in the car, but it's not. So, Darryl, I don't know whether we sort of lost you at the end there, but on the TMO review, how far back can they go, and what is the scope therefore from your knowledge in the Premier, what the TMO can and can't do in normal live play?
In normal play, if the referee asks the TMO a question, he can respond to it. Now, there is a protocol of what the referee can ask the TMO, but even if the TMO asks him a question and it's outside protocol, the TMO is obliged to respond.
Okay.
So if a normal open play, the TMO, the referee asks the TMO, was there a knock on there? You might hear sometimes the referee say, did anybody see a knock on? And the TMO will come in and go, yes, there was a knock on. That's out of protocol. Not big, but not, but technically, but because the referee's asked him, then he's got to respond to it.
Because I think, just to finish this a little bit off before we take a break, I think I remember one in the England game where the TMO came straight in about a knock-on, or I think it was a knock-on, uninvited.
So on the technical aspect then of it's outside of protocol, and they ask a question and the answer comes back as yes, can the referee then act on that, or is it just knowledge based?
They can act on it. They now have that information that it happened.
But if it's outside the protocol, you shouldn't really be doing that, should you?
Doesn't matter. The protocol says he can answer. The protocol's been broken by the referee by asking, not by the TMO by answering it. So the referee's now got that information. There was a knock-on. Why wouldn't he blow it? There was a knock-on.
That's fair enough.
That happened.
Yeah,
Against the rules. Within the law of the game, that should be a scrum there to the opposition. Done. Finished.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. Well,
During the Lions tour, there was plenty of times when the TMO chimed in without being asked to chime in. And that, again, it takes away from the game. Unless
Foul
it's
play,
clear
though.
foul play.
But it's foul play only.
I have no problem with them getting involved.
The only time they're going to get a check from the TMO is for foul play or by protocol. And in the Lions tour, I don't think I remember anything other than foul play being thrown in.
Yeah, there was. Yeah. Anyway.
very interesting.
It is a difficult one because we want, you want the right outcome. And as Phil, when I came into the conversation, Phil was saying, I assume you were talking about what happened in Gloucester, where he went and spoke to the crowd, where I think the game is now. There's a lot more money in the game, and it's the right outcome. It's about getting the right outcome. Similar to what happened in football, where we've got VAR now, which wasn't there because decisions were being made which were incorrect, and those decisions could have potentially cost teams millions of pounds.
Yeah, I think it
the
has
VAR
come down
in football is
now.
only used, but the VAR in football is only used for scoring, correct?
No.
Or foul inside the box.
VAR for football, the protocols in that are actually more than they are in
It's
rugby.
used when a goal is scored, which is more than in rugby because they don't check every one. But they do. But in rugby, we only use it for scoring and for foul play, and occasionally it's used outside protocol, as we just talked about, where the referee will ask the TMO a question: has anybody seen a knock on there? And the TMO might come in and say, yes, there was a knock on. The same as
VAR in football is used for foul play, scoring, offsides, if the ball's gone out of play, everything, and they're sweeping up behind the referee as well for anything they've missed or gone behind. All assistant referee decisions, all of them in professional football, when there's VAR in it, are made by the VAR, not by the assistant referee. They don't put their flag in the air until the VAR has confirmed it was offside.
Yeah.
What's the sense of having the assistant referees?
They don't have it. The assistant referees to sweep up other stuff at that point then. And we're actually trying to automate. The company I work for, we're building an automate, and Hawkeye and a few other companies. We're all fighting against each other now to win the licenses for the automated offside laws. So the cameras in the stadium will automate that offside decision. So it will be 100% accurate. And just like the goal line technology, the referee will have a wristwatch on that gives the information to him straight away if the player was offside. So he can make it quickly.
That goes right to my point on exactly what is the job of the ARs. They don't need a job anymore.
The assistant referees at that point are there for foul play, nothing else.
Yeah. There you go. Well, we'll take a quick break. I'm sure we're going to talk a lot more about this, and we'll see you in a couple of minutes.
Hi, I'm Tom Blundell, former England 15s and 7s player. In 2022, I'll be supporting the first ever Samburu Sevens rugby tournament in Kenya. Teams from all over the world will be coming together for safari and rugby in the plains of the Wildlife Reserve. There are 3 categories of competition for both men and women. Register your interest now at www.samburusevens.com and come join us on this amazing new event.
welcome back to the second part of tonight's 22 Dropouts. We've been having an interesting discussion before the break and during the break, actually, about the TMO and the role. Now, Daryl, you've been involved in the game throughout many incarnations of the TMO and the protocols. Just one thing before I ask you to just go through those and how it's changed for you. You know, you were saying sometimes the referee steps out of protocol and asks the question and the TMO then has to give an answer. What's done about that afterwards in review? Is that picked up by the reviewers? Is there not disciplinary action, but is there, you know, comments that you have got to stop doing this or you shouldn't be doing that? How do they handle that?
I think it's always raised that it's outside protocol, but it's about getting the right outcome, Mike. So if there was a knock on and the referee asked, for example, did anybody see a knock on there? And nobody has, and the TMO says, yes, there was a knock on and he can clearly see it, then that's the right outcome. So it's, I'm not saying it is, and I you know, but it could be. Sometimes it's better to ask for forgiveness, not permission. Coming back to
it's the way I've lived for 49 years, mate. I always apologise later.
You know he's with the divorcement, Mike, and we live by that.
But the TMO protocol has been through several iterations. You know, from when it first started to where it is now, to how, you know, there's been some tweaking. We've seen, you know, we've seen it change. For example, at the last World Cup, there were some changes put in very quickly. And I think kind of where we are now is probably where it's going to be. It's primarily focused around foul play and also around confirming that try scoring opportunities are correct. There's been no foul play or no knock-ons or forward passes or anything like that. So I think we're probably in the place where it's going to stay. And, you know, Julian's very much involved in automation, I know, and he probably can talk about whether any of that can be automated. But I think that's more complex in rugby than it is in other sports. And I think that for now, the TMO part is going to change. And the reason for trying to do what happened on Friday night was really because the crowd are sometimes confused by the decisions that are made. And it's trying to make it, to take that away so that the crowd actually have a better understanding for how the match officials have got to that point. Yeah?
Well, I think that the way they're explaining processes now and outcomes and the mitigation and things, and the degree of danger, that's giving the crowd and the people at home a much better understanding of those decisions, and makes them then more understandable, and you can accept why those decisions are made like that.
But I think, Mike, just on that, when they go through the process, the level, was it foul play? What level of danger and any mitigation circumstances? The only people that can hear that are the people that have got RefLink or the people who are at home. So the idea of the protocol at Gloucester, the experiment at Gloucester that occurred was really to put that to a wider audience.
And how did that go down? Have you heard any feedback from that?
I've not heard any feedback from it yet, but I've seen various things online on various forums with positive and negative comments. For me, I'm always listening to what the referee's saying anyway. If I watch it at home, if I'm at the ground, I've normally got a microphone on, so I can hear I've normally got an earpiece in, so I can hear what he's saying anyway. So I think there'll always be people that like it and people that don't. And in fact, there's some people like to buy the RefLink because they want to hear what the referee's going on. Yeah. So this is just, there's obviously going to be, RefLink might not be very happy because there might be a revenue loss for them. I don't know. We'll see.
So, Phil, what if that came to a rugby ground or a rugby game near you? Is it a good thing or a bad thing for you?
Well, Sam is having a hissy fit over there.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Look, there's always good and there's always good and bad. Depends on how you look at it, in my opinion. there's an education aspect of it. When I started bringing comms to match officials in the U.S., and I would bring a set of 5, so we have the 3 hooked up, and I would give 1 to each of the coaches at times, right? So the coaches could listen on this, and they were like thinking, "Wow, this is awesome," because now we can actually hear what the referee's talking about, and he's told our players to get back 10. 5 times or whatever like this. So there's an education part of it, and I think there's a positive education part of it. But you also have to worry about the negative, because there's so many people who are ignorant when it comes to laws of the game and not understanding what it is, and they look at it as a truly biased attack against a player or a team because they're supporters. So there's a good bad thing. I'll give you an example of it. NASCAR, which is probably the largest attended sporting event in the world, week in, week out, they use a ref link kind of a deal, but there is no match official. They listen to the comms of the radios and between the pit crews and the radios. And you can imagine how busy that is. But that's because the fans are engaged in what's going on, and they like learning about that. So I think if you take that kind of an aspect and use it as an education tool, I think that there could be a real solid.
Yes! Sorry.
Sam's watching Wendy Ball. Sam thinks it's a good idea, don't you, Sam?
Yeah, sorry.
It's Scotland score by any chance, Sam?
Yeah, they did, yeah, but I think it's been disallowed for offside or something down there.
VAR.
Bloody VAR, yeah.
Julian set the cameras badly. So Sam, take your attention away. For me, if somebody in the ground can listen to it, because they buy some tech, and everybody at home can listen to it because it's part of the commentary, why would you deny it to everybody? I don't know. Does it take away from the atmosphere? Does it add to the atmosphere? What do you think it's going to be a good thing or a bad thing, Sam? Now you've got to try and remember what we're talking about, haven't you?
I think I am listening. I think that that the TMO and VAR technology is there for a reason, and it is a good reason for it being there.
That's great. That's not what we're talking about, though, mate. But welcome
okay,
for trying.
So
Jules, we'll come to you, and maybe Sam can catch up. So, what are your thoughts? You're going to, let's say, you're going to a Wales game, and instead of buying RefLink, you can hear it over the stadium.
I was getting to that. I knew you were talking about the things, the RefLinks and stuff.
Go on then, Sam. Get into it.
No, he can't because I muted him now.
Oh, right.
Because it's your turn,
we haven't
Julian.
done that for so long. No. To be honest, hearing the referee stuff over the half tannoid and halfway, I'd be like, just leave him down there. That gives me 5 minutes to go get a pint. I can get back, and when I've got a new pint, the game will be kicked off again. So I actually have time to go to the bar. So I'm there at a game. I'm not there to watch the referee. I'm not there to watch the thing. I'm there to watch the rugby. Get the bloody thing over with as quickly as possible. Let them get on with their job and not worry about talking to the whole bloody crowd. I'll be happy with them just being as they are, finish it as fast as they can, and get on with the match.
Why would you put the referee comms over the speaker in the stadium?
But why do we need to?
Exactly. I think that is a bad thing.
If you want to listen to the referee, go by the ref link. Don't do it. Just what's the point? I don't see the point.
So you're saying personal choice rather than everybody.
Like, I mean, you can listen to Darryl as well. When he's at a game, he's usually got a headpiece on because he's working. When I've gone to a game and I'm working, like this weekend, I was at the under-20s in Portugal. I had my headpiece on. I was listening to the referee comms the whole game. But you tend not to watch the game as much because you're watching the referee and you're watching this.
Is true.
And you're listening to the ref. So you're not as watching the game as focused as you would be, or talking to your mates because you're out for an event. You're not there to go into every specific detail of the match in detail. You're there to watch an event. You're there to watch entertainment. You're there to be entertained by two fantastic teams playing a sport in front of you. You might miss the odd moment here or there. They've got these massive screens at the end of pitches these days, so they always show a replay of those things. So you can have a quick look up and watch it afterwards if you miss it for 2 seconds. After that, I'm going to cheer. I'm probably going to spill some beer at that point. I'm going to carry on my drink.
Or throw it over a pitch invader.
I'm not going to throw it in a pitch invader. No, I'm not wasting my pint on some scum like that.
if you take the NFL as an example, or college football in the United States, you understand why they put that on speaker and they broadcast penalties to the fans. You understand why, right?
No.
Yeah.
One it is because of the broadcast, because the camera may not be on the referee or see the foul that happened. The second thing is that people want to know what happened because there is so much commercialization of the sport. Even at the college level, these teams are making $100 million a year. And the third thing, which is the most important aspect of the game, is that there's a stoppage. In the game of football in the United States, there's usually a 35 to 45 second stoppage. So the play is already stopped anyway. There's no quick tap and go. There's no advantage in the sport of football. So the idea is it's already stopped, and they continue on from the stoppage from a referee standpoint.
So, Sam, you're
Yes.
in the stadium, Malta versus Israel, with your flag. You've got your comms on anyway. How would you feel? I mean, obviously, if it's a big broadcast event and they've got RefCom, well, to be honest though, in the Premiership, they're starting to listen into the ARs now. But for many years, they didn't listen to the ARs. It was just the referee. But how would you feel if those bits, the comms that you're putting in, thanks. I thought I corrected myself in time.
To be fair and to be honest are both on there, Mike.
Oh, get lost. There is no way that's a thing.
Yes.
You can fuck right
it's
up.
on the bottom. Look, to be fair, to be honest.
Anyway, Sam.
To be accurate.
In all fairness, Sam, how would you have felt if that was that happened on Saturday at the Malta-Israel game? Would it bother you?
So yeah, I think the TMO and the the VAR thing's actually quite good. No, what was the question?
What is the score in the Wendy Ball then, mate? We'll ask you an easy one.
It's 0-0, but Scotland's putting a lot of pressure on at the moment. Like, they're absolutely rampaging against Denmark at the moment. But anyway,
great. And on that note, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll see if Sam can remember.
Can I just
go on,
add a comment because I might have to disappear before we come back. But I think Phil's comments about NASCAR and about how the crowd, how it's used for education, is actually a really good point. And I actually think that there's probably more of a case to put ref comms over the speakers and let the crowd just listen to it that way. The problem with that is there is so much bad language on the field that there would, as it happens on TV commentary, there's a lot of apologising. So that's possibly why they're not going to do that. So it'd have to be a delay on it where someone can press a button. But of course, if you have a delay where someone can press a button, it'll be like some badly dubbed 1970s porn movie.
Or it'll just be like those concepts.
1970s porn.
It'll be just like those concepts they use in the women's prem if you want a delay after the person's spoken. So I mean, just to clarify one point before we go for a break, mate. Are you saying then leave that open throughout the whole game, or only when a decision needs to be explained because we've got a stoppage?
I think you need to have a decision explained because it's an education for the crowd to bring them more into the game. I understand Julian's point, but I think there's going to be some people that are happy with it, some people that are not, and the majority is will be more than happy with it. I think because it'll stop the person in this crowd shouting and screaming because they think they know what's going on. It'll make everybody around them understand what the correct decision should have been. And can I just clarify as well for the video that I'm not driving at this point in time. Somebody is driving me because driving and being on a video call would be illegal and I'm not allowed to.
Absolutely, and that's when we would never have let you in.
Have we?
No, well, we wouldn't have let him in. Anyway, so we're going to take a quick break.
I was going to ask, where the hell's your steering wheel?
It's on the other side, Phil.
There you go. And you heard it here first. We'll see you in a minute.
When you need clear and concise match official communication systems, look no further than the brand new AXIWE AT350.
Radios are always useful, they always help us, especially AXIWEs, where all three of us can be open at any time, we can have open communication.
Available now from refcomsglobal.net. Investing profits into match official development worldwide.
Hey, we're back for part 3 of tonight's 22 Dropouts. Don't forget to check out up there, look at the socials and search at 22 Dropouts. Where are they, Jules? They're up there, boys. They're up there. They're up there. See, even Sam's listening for a change. It must be Denmark must have the ball, and that's why he's listening. Now, one of the things that Daryl did mention, I'm just going to cover off, was that 7 second. So, essentially, and I think this is one of the reasons it's there, obviously, is so that you don't have to find the clips instantly. The TMO watches essentially 2 screens in the truck, one in live play and the same screen. And this is normally the same that's going out on the TV, not all the angles straight away. But he watches the feed and then he watches exactly the same 7 seconds later on another screen. So if there is a question or he sees something or she sees something, or they, the whatever you all want to be these days, if they see something that catches their eye but they're not certain, they can look at the next screen, which is 7 seconds away, and they'll see exactly the same thing again. But that's also good for the referee who says, was there something there? Just have a look at that, because again, in 7 seconds time, they're already looking out and wary for something. And I think that's a really useful tool, is to have those side by side. I mean, Jules, have you done any TMO work at all? Or
I know how it works. They don't just have the 2 screens; they have a number of more screens.
They do,
and a few extra people, and they use a Vogo system. That's where they have 9 or a number of screens all running at the same time from all the different cameras, so they get all the different camera angles at the same time, running in parallel on one big screen, so they can actually see all the angles for every incident if they're on there, so they can pick which screen they want to look at in detail, all at the same time running, and say, right, that one, I'm going to, when you hear the TMO say, I'm going to give you a different angle, he's seen all of those angles, or she's seen all those angles at one time. So he can tell you, I need that one, or tell the TV producer, I need that one first, then that one, then that one. And then we might want to look back at that one or that one afterwards.
Yeah, so they've got somebody in the truck with them that cues it up as well, based on that.
4 or 5 people in there at least, working it
all
out.
And they get all the clips for them as well. But initially, though, they look at that screen here, live play, 7 seconds later, and then they can ask for all of those other things if they need them.
Very similarly to do when we're doing referee reviewing as well. I'll have one screen up in front of me for the game, and I'll be doing this on Saturday. There's be one screen up in front of me. My laptop will be beside me running that same game, 10 seconds in delay. So if I see something on the main screen, I'll take a note of the time very quickly. Then I can have a quick look to my left. The sound will be on my main screen, so I can still hear the whistle if something else happens, so I don't miss it. And I can then look and monitor what happened the second time, just to have another look at it, get down the details for it, and then it's done. If I can't see it in 2 times, it's not worth mentioning.
Yeah, fair enough. And I think that's probably goes the same for any TMO as well.
Yeah.
Super. Now, change of tack completely. Just want to say well done to the Doddy Weir Foundation and the My Name's Doddy campaign, who has secured, I think it's £50 million worth of funding for motor neurone disease from the government this week, which is a great announcement. I know the guys there have been working really hard. The WASPS Foundation have been backing them as well. So to all our friends at the My Name's Doddy, really well done. Really great that that money is coming to you. Now, we were going to have a guest on tonight who could have given us a bit more of a look at 1-0. 1-0. Well done, Sam. Not that you did anything, but well done. Now, we were going to have a guest on, but his wife's away and he has to put the kiddies to beddy buys at this time. So he will be on with us another time. But whilst he could give us quite an insight into his world of refereeing as a Premiership ref as well, I wanted him just to explain what happened to him the other week. Just take a look at this.
He's out. Still. Ferns controlling at the base, inside from Lucock, and the referee has taken an absolute clattering. Andrew Jackson has done well.
Moment and just compose yourself.
I think you call that, well, man and ball, man and something.
You're right, Jacko, with the comms.
Yeah, you hear me? Yeah, got you. All good.
Full scale from Nathan Earl.
I don't think we'd like to be on the receiving end of that, but it got me thinking. The worst clattering you've had or given to a player, or the worst, most embarrassing moment of your refereeing career? Go on, Jules, you look like you got loads.
I got two that come to mind immediately. Well, three. Actually, I can give you three straight off the mark. There's the funniest one was just playing advantage. I've got one of the Swedish international playing for Hammarby, Swedish international locks coming up behind me. I've swung my arm up to go advantage green, and Ivan's come flying past. I've hit him straight in the face and knocked him flat on his ass. Another one, I was refereeing Pingvian, which is a Swedish top division side. Very, very good players. One of their players coming forward, the ball's coming forward. It's not going over me, but it was flying in front of me. So I've slowed down for the ball to go to the next player. And I've been taken out completely, tackled basically, by one of the Pingvian locks. I found out afterwards that he'd been betted. I'd been given a bet by his coach to knock the ref over at some point, because the coach is a good mate of mine. So it was completely deliberate, allegedly. Yeah, that's what he told me. He said, "No, Tom set me up for it, ref." Honestly, which I thought was hilarious. And the other time was at the Stockholm Tens. I'm running touch, and you know what it's like with big tournaments when there's nobody protecting the pitch. There's no fence around the field or anything. All the fans are up on the touchline, making it very difficult to run touch. So I'm kind of boxed in. So when we're running the line, we tend to go infield a little bit and then come out when it's coming on your side and shift people out of the way as fast as you can. Now I've got boxed in on the line. There's fans all around me. I can't go anywhere but where I am other than forwards. And I've got a maul coming towards me at a fast rate of knots. And the Stockholm Exiles hooker is coming towards me with ball in hand, being pushed by a number of very burly young gentlemen from the opposition. I just planted a foot behind me, dropped the shoulder, and fucking knocked him on his arse when he came to knock me off the pitch because he's leaving the field. And he looks up at me from the floor in a pro position going, "Jules, you can't do that." And I put my flag up, gave the line out, and went, "I just did, son, just did."
Oh, brilliant.
So,
Phil,
yeah.
Can you top that?
I don't know if it's a competition. I don't know if it's a competition.
It's a competition, Phil. Everything's a competition.
Well, for those who know me, I'm not a fleet-of-foot, small fit lad, right? You know, I'm literally 200, at the time I was 240 pounds, I guess, 6'3". And it's refereed a lot, you know, in Division I, Division II men's clubs, that kind of stuff. And much like Julian, this is back when, you know, you'd give your advantage indicator and you just whip your arm out, right, and you leave it out there. Well, I used to get hit so often because I got really long arms and around the breakdowns that literally people would hit my arms all the time. So I was the guy who had literally invented the bungee slap. So as soon as you stick your arm out, you pull it back in like a bungee's attached to it because you're going to get smacked all the time. And much like what happened with Jules, I ended up hitting an Islander in the head, and he turned around and said to me, "Ref, is that all you have?" and I said, I apologize. I didn't mean to hit you in the nose, flatten it. and then on the sidelines, they're the biggest ones, right? Up until we started enforcing tech zones, we always had coaches and fans and everything else on the sideline. And again, I'm not a fast runner, but I do take up space, and I have no problem going into the field of play to avoid somebody and everything else. But after they've been warned twice, I do not move. And it's my line, and I hold the line after I gave him 2 warnings. And I ended up smoking this guy, and he got all pissed off at me. And I said, I warned you twice. How many times do you want to be shot across the bow?
2, right. Well, normally, I think it's protocol, isn't it? 1 shot, then 3 shots in front of your target before you shoot at him.
You know,
naval tradition.
The idea is I have a job to do. Your job is to get the fuck out of my way.
Absolutely. 2, right. What about you, Sam?
I suppose the only one that really comes to mind is refereeing before COVID. Probably about a year after I got my pacemaker fitted. So it'd be 2017-18 season. And I was standing at the side of a rock, and just minding my own business as you do as a referee. Next thing I know, the guy's chipped the ball over and just plows right through me. I'm like, you twat. So, I was like, did I not leave you a big enough hole to run through? He says, well, I was trying. He says, but, it's like, cheers, mate. But on a side note to that, the funniest thing I saw happening was a proper try scoring opportunity. I will share names because it is that funny. Down in Kelso Scottish Borders, I can't remember who they were playing against. It was Kelso versus probably Selkirk or something like that. And my brother running down the touchline. All he has to do is basically run the ball in. About 5 or 10 meters to go. Nobody in front of him. Passes the ball to the touch. So yeah, well done.
Yeah, the worst ones I found are the ones where I've had a guy dummy runner. I'm standing in the lines, keeping the guys offside on the try line. Yeah, and I've had a dummy runner coming in, not looking where he's going, literally looking sideways, doing that, run straight into the back of me, knocks me flying over the goal line. I go straight to ground. I do a little bit of a forward roll, get back up, back in the line. They go over, they score. The next guy on the pass scores. I got to blow the whistle. There's so much shit in my whistle. Absolutely nothing works. So they're all still piling in at this point, trying to stop the try. I've seen it grounded already. I can't blow the bloody thing because it's full of mud. Down the shirt, rip out the spare one. And the players were more impressed, not about my forward roll and getting up so quickly. They were more impressed that I had 2 whistles than anything else.
Well, I've done the old knock somebody over years ago at Stafford, really muddy pitch. In fact, Greg McDonald was refereeing, and it was his uncle who was a coach for this particular school. And I was running the line. I had to keep moving him back and moving him back and moving him back. And there's this kick coming towards me, and I'm running backwards. So I didn't see him, and he clearly, he didn't see the bright yellow top coming, but he didn't, and I just ran straight into him. And he come dressed in this beige suit, and he went backwards. He's a big fellow as well, huge bloke. Went backwards and just landed in the mud on the sidelines. From head down to toe, he just got stripes of mud all the way down the back of his suit. But he did stay in his technical area after that. But I think, which is good. We lesson learned. Although
I've got a video clip for you. I've got a video clip for you which you can play after this. Belgian referee, Miss Adele Rebel. I'm sorry, Adele, but we're going to put this on the show. She's put her arm out for advantage, and we actually asked her at the start of the game, and we were like, "Oh, yeah." And she went, "Oh, yeah. No, I'll leave it on. I always leave it on for games." She swings her arm out for advantage. The number 6 from Sweden comes forward. As she swings it out, she catches it just as the braces her hair with it, and suddenly the referee is attached to the player with her whistle arm and has to go to stop the game.
That's why every referee should learn how to whistle by putting your fingers in your mouth. Just in case. All like that.
But it's got I got the clip. I got the clip, and I've got the clip of it straight away and put it on Facebook and tagged her in it so all her friends can see.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. Such a nice guy.
Well, you can watch that right now.
Men vi väljer att gå brett. Victoria sätter igång på där. var en lucka som öppnades där i tjeckernas backlinje. Tyvärr kunde vi inte riktigt förvalta den. Men,
det ser ut som domaren har fastnat i håret på en av de svenska spelarna.
det är en liten delikatess vi får bjuda på här.
So we'll put that in there. Good. So just before we go tonight, I think the other one for me was actually on Saturday where I came worse off. And I have, the reason I've got my glasses on tonight is I've got a bloodshot eye. So I'm standing underneath the post. I'm short man, waiting to see if it's going over. The tea doesn't arrive. This big Fijian with quads that are the size of my chair decides to drop kick it. All his might underneath it, doesn't quite go over. It hits the crossbar, but instead of bouncing back, it comes straight. As I'm looking up at it, it comes straight down, and the fucking point hits me in the eye.
Oh no!
What's the player's name so I can send him a thank you note?
What's his name so you can send him a gift? But the worst part of it was the referee was so impressed that he'd hit me straight in the eye. He awarded him the conversion anyway.
I'd give him 3 points.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all we've got time for tonight. It's been quite a good show, and lots of opinions about tech and TMO. So let's see what happens this coming week with the autumn internationals and how tech and TMO affects them. And we might have to talk about it a little bit more, hopefully with our guest next week, where Andy Jackson can fill us in on why he was running such a dodgy line in the first place to get smashed quite like that. We'll see you all.
I'm quite impressed tonight. I'm quite impressed. Not once have we mentioned the bad language from the Kiwis in the Ireland game.
Oh, fuck that.
But it was quite entertaining. Turning around next to the referee, well, Luke, while he's refereeing the game, he said, one of the Kiwis turns around about Sexton, I think it was, and said, fucking hell, he's a gobby little didn't he? You can beat me out in that. And on that note, said, language.
On that note, we're going to say good night. See you now. Bye-bye.